featuring a special one this week. Bitcoin Nick is unable to make it because he is at March Madness. So hopefully he's enjoying that. But I got Justin Canberra back on, and I got first time guest Sabrina Maples on. I got a chance to connect with her on Gus's awesome podcast. So I believe that's episode 5. So that should be out maybe in a few weeks on his Behind the Doors podcast. So Sabrina, maybe you can quickly introduce yourself to my audience, maybe a 60-second spiel on who you are, where you invest, things like that.
My name is Sabrina. I'm physically in Arizona. I invest in Washington, Arizona, and Ohio. I've been doing real estate for 6 years now. I've been an agent for 7 years. I mainly focus on off-market dumpster fire fixers, and I wholesale. I do all the things. The only thing I haven't done yet is creative sub-2 type stuff, which I don't know if I'll ever do. But that's just a little tidbit about me.
All right, very cool. And I believe Sabrina might be streaming live also on Facebook. So there is her Facebook account in the chat. So if you can go follow her there. And Justin, I didn't actually talking with Sabrina the other week with her on Gus's podcast. I realized you two probably run in the same circles, right? So tell everyone how you kind of know Sabrina a little bit.
We met, I'm trying to figure out what year. It's a while ago. It was probably
So long.
2020 or 2021 is when I joined Springboard. So those that follow Thatch Wen, that's his real estate investor mastermind. I think that's where we first originally met. And then through different meetups and local investing friendships, we got a lot of interactions. And she was in Arizona, then moved up to Washington, I believe, and then went back to Arizona maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so let's dig in. We'll dig into that after, Sabrina, about you like maybe moving different locations. I think because you kind of knew that Washington was a hot spot where a lot of people maybe in your community was. But let's also kind of dig into kind of the main topic of kind of maybe reality of the real estate game. Both of you, all of us are actually realtors. I don't do much on the realtor side, but you two are awesome agents out there. But kind of talk about maybe how some people want to be in real estate and they don't really know the whole side of things, right? So maybe Sabrina, you can go first a little bit.
It depends on who you watch, but some people paint real estate as a very like sexy, easy kind of thing. And it's really not. I also was a firm believer when I first started that like if I was going to do real estate, I needed to do it full time. And honestly, that is also incorrect. Like you do not have to do it full time if you don't want to. If you have a really good 9 to 5 and you can pull that money and park it in real estate, that's just as easy, if not easier, than letting go of the reins of the 9 to 5 and then trying to build the real estate business. Yeah, it's a lot.
I think that's what I liked about interacting with you on Gus's podcast. You're very truthful and open, and you could tell like you weren't trying to like sell how easy this game was, right? So, Justin, maybe you can also touch on why this whole real estate thing is not as simple or passive as maybe a lot of people are trying to make it out there.
Yeah, I'm learning later on in my journey how hard it can be, especially when you're doing new things. The biggest thing is you don't know what you don't know. So I've been getting kicked in the teeth on some development stuff for, coming on 3 years on one project, right? So it is super difficult. So if you're going to get in, you got to make sure, you have enough willpower to do it and a goal, a burning desire to get there. But then you got to have the money there as well. So because not all of them are positive. So it's like, when you go to the casino, you're going to win. But you're going to lose too. And over time, for me, like my losses, fortunately, we're not the beginning, but I've had some losses recently that have set me back. So that's what makes it difficult getting into the game. That's me personally now when I'm working at putting my agent hat on. Typically I can tell within the first conversation how, when people come in, have they done the research? Are they excited about it? Do they have the money? Are they going to pull the trigger? Because there's, sometimes we're working with people, they get all the way there and then you're like, this is exactly what you wanted. and they'll find 10 reasons why not to do it because they're scared, So, for the most part, I've been fairly lucky. Only a few have been like that. But, when we're working with clients, we're trying to evaluate, are they actually going to transact? And so that we're, spend our time in the right spots to help the right people.
I want to remind everyone Justin is streaming live also. So go please jump over there, subscribe. We're trying to get his viewer count up. So that should be fun. He also streams live on Wednesdays with Cody Davis. But I do see a lot of people saying good morning. So thanks for tuning in. I see a few people. So like Alex, the accidental investor, is actually, he's in Washington, invests in Washington, but he's also in Arizona. So he kind of has maybe some ties like you, Sabrina. I do see a new person tuning in, Kevin Hawthorne. So from Florida, good morning. Curtis, PE turned RE, also from Washington. I'm not sure if you met him before, Sabrina. He's kind of infamous for his first house hack where he just boarded up one of the rooms, lived in it. There was no shower. He would shower at the gym, the mom's house, but he does have an awesome YouTube channel also.
That's a commitment right there. Let's go.
Absolutely. Yes, and they both, and I guess he may know, he says, about to hop on the Gen Z call in the school community, but Sabrina and Justin are the real deal. Looking forward to listening back. All right, thanks, Curtis. But yeah, let's kind of talk. I heard both of you mention passive income a little bit in real estate. So Sabrina, is passive income kind of a myth, or is it possible in real estate, would you say?
I feel like, so I've done property management myself. I've done the flips myself. I've done flips with the GC. I've done out of state investing. And truly, if you get a good out of state investment, you have a property manager there. The house that I had, it was in Alabama. I never thought of that house. Like, it was just an automatic deposit every single month until the year came, and then the property manager would do her little walkthrough. So I got really, really lucky on that house. And that to me is true passive income because I literally never thought of it. Now, managing an Airbnb, like that's the one that they paint to be super sexy. You're going to make all this money. If you manage that thing yourself, you bet that's like a full-time job. Depending on when you do flips, like if you have a GC, depending on how present or not present they are, that could also be a full-time job. I do a lot of off-market prospecting, also full-time job. So I think it truly depends on what type of asset you're looking at, and then also who you have in place to take care of it for you. If you plan to property manage these things, Airbnb, I have a couple horror stories, and I only had one Airbnb, so like it depends on your avenue, but it can be. You just have to have the right people in place.
Yeah, very true. I think that's the one thing is, if you're in real estate long enough, you're gonna take your lumps, no matter what it is, right? So whether it's long term, short term, building, if you're in it long enough, there's gonna be times where things are a struggle. I do want to say good morning to Gus. I see Gus tuning in. So there is his YouTube channel. Like I said, episode 4 came out on his Behind the Doors. Hopefully episode 5 will be out soon, where Sabrina and I got to connect on that episode. But Justin, you already kind of touched on it too. You kind of got kicked in the teeth a few times on some recent things. But was there ever a point that you were sold the idea that real estate was passive income?
100%. Like when you are, typically it's in advertising. So when you're, getting pitched an ad for a book, for a course, for a conference, they're trying to sell you the sauce on how it is passive. And really my only passive income is honestly my parking lot. Like it's they set it up. I have people that tow the car there. I've never met them, I've only sent them like 2 texts in the app. That's like as passive as it gets. But in terms of everything else, it's never really passive because you're dealing with humans. And when you have humans involved, there's always something going on. And, at the very beginning, I did 100% property management, and then, third party. I'm actually bringing it back in-house. I'm seeing, like, for some of the management that I'm working with, I'm so involved, I might as well just do the little bit extra and not pay them. And so I'm in the process of taking a course, for those that know Lumberjack Landlord, I'm in, tomorrow is week 2 of the boot camp. So I'm starting to take over management back in Washington, TBD on out of state. But, I'd rather control it myself, spend that little bit of extra time and try to increase the amount of cash flow. Because when I was going through 2025, as we're starting to prep for taxes, and some of my property managers, I'm like looking at all the bills and the expense ratios. I'm like, holy smokes, man! I could literally do it myself and lose money on some of these properties. Like, why am I paying you? So now I follow up with all of them. I have, put some checks and balances in with them to make sure that, hey, if you're going to manage this, you need to manage it profitably. And so just trying to change things around. And I'm inversely doing passive, and I'm more active income, trying to make sure that it actually shows up, because Sabrina's got out of state too. If you're making a couple $100 and then there's one clogged drain that the tenant caused, there's your cash flow for the month. So like, you got to make sure that you're monitoring it and actually getting it in, because I know when I very first started, it was so much cheaper. You literally would be like, on paper, I should make $800. And then you get the property, the tenant moves out, furnace goes out, and you're like, okay, now I'm negative 3,000. So you got to make sure that the reality of the actual property ties into what your original projections were to ultimately make that money.
Like I said, please go check out Sabrina on Facebook. She is streaming live also, and actually let us know if it's working, because I don't
Honestly,
ever.
I don't know. So pause.
Well,
I
yeah. Well, you
can't
can
figure it out.
you can still go check it out and follow her there. But she's also on Instagram. She does have a YouTube channel. But if you want to know more about her, go follow her there. I see Chris Wissing tuning in. Also go check out his YouTube channel. Him and his son are doing a lot of cool stuff on a project they're working on. Let's see here. There was something so you both mentioned it. Actually, so what would we say maybe is the big, because you both kind of touched on a little bit, maybe social media is not the true story about real estate. But maybe I don't want to use, well, I'll use the word here, but what's the biggest lie social media tells about real estate investing, maybe? Sabrina?
I don't know. I think it's the lie is the speed you can do it at, because most people say like, you can buy this and build and do this and buy all these out of state or buy storage units or like whatever it is, and they're like basically retire next year. And the likelihood of that happening is -5. Like, it's not going to happen in 1 year. It may take 5 or 10 years. And I think there's many a lie, but the speed of becoming financially free and the work you have to do is never fully disclosed.
I'm 100% on. Same thing, because like in the kind of the perfect storm, if you will, like probably 2019 to 2022, like the everything was in your favor, right? So could you do it faster in that time period? Potentially, but you'd have to be like what Sabrina is, and like how I am now, where you're, W-2 job, you have a real estate license, you're self-managing, you're got in-state for cash, or out-of-state for cash flow. You got some short-term rentals for some, good local cash flow. If you're doing all those all at the same time, there is possibility, but I think it's really more closer to 10 years in reality, especially if you're buying, kind of one at a time. And most people think it's like a straight line, but it literally is like flat, 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 and then it really starts curving up at the end, because your rent, the rents increase over time, and then in a perfect world, you're flat on your payments, and then or down. So obviously, if the rates go down, then you refi, and then that's where you really start stacking some of that cash. So it's not necessarily the first 5 years; it's like towards the very end is where it really starts to benefit. And so like I said at the beginning, if you don't have a burning desire to do this, some people could fall out right towards the very end and not get that big upside.
Friend Zone Millionaire, thanks for tuning in. They did comment, financial independence, retire early. Something happened to just make it easier. I won't say, but they do follow up with you'll be Grant Cardone in 2 weeks if you just do X. So I think that's kind of what we are talking
Yes,
about a little
that's
bit
a
today.
you'll
Yeah. So
10x everything if you take my course. No.
um let's sorry, I lost it. Oh, there was someone talking about the North Shore on Oahu. So yes, there is a storm coming through again. So the islands are getting hit pretty rough, especially on the North Shore. If you see on your social media feed, there's probably a lot of videos of rising water and flooding. So hopefully everything calms down shortly. And that's also why we had to cancel last week. My power was out for like 15 hours. But hopefully it slows down a little bit. Oh, Kyle Dorn. Yeah. So Justin, to your point a little bit earlier about self-managing, that's actually going to be my topic with Cody Davis on Monday because he just did a video on his channel talking about how he is going to take over some properties. I believe. I think it's 100-unit facility. I believe, and it's going to save him. I believe he said 75K a year.
Oh
I
yeah.
think. Yeah. But Kyle Dorn does say yes. Yep, cheaper and less riskier managing yourself. Good job. You're going to remedy a problem faster and more cost effective than anyone else. Call the PM emergency number at 2 a.m. See if they answer. Yep. Let's see. Well, so let's kind of pivot just a little bit. So everyone is talking on social media, maybe about not everyone, but real estate is easy and you can build wealth and all these things. But Cog PD3QN comments, real estate is very illiquid. So how would you guys look at that type of comment or statement when looking at real estate building wealth, or is it being easy? Or so maybe Sabrina?
I think the only way that you can survive in real estate is if you are super liquid. So you need to have money to hold the property, and then you need to have money to hold the carrying costs, and then you need to have money, like Justin said, if the furnace goes out, you better have a chunk of money away from that, or else you're going to hurt. I was very heavy in flipping, and even in flipping, a project takes 6 months. I was using all my own money, so I wasn't very liquid. That project needed to be finished and sold before I determined what I was going to do with the money. Same thing with my out of state investment. I bought that traditionally 20% down. My money was trapped in there. Like for 5 years, I would have calculated the cash on cash return for me to get my down payment back, even though it was small, like it was 25 grand, it still wasn't going anywhere. So I think that's another thing too, and that's something I've not tried is if you have partners and you have access to liquid, it probably makes it a little less stressful, but I haven't done that yet. What I have done makes it very illiquid. It's very, I think, important to have not only a cushion, but like an emergency cushion. And if you have active income, keep it like as high as possible because that will save you headaches, stress, panic attacks, all the things as you're trying to build everything.
Right.
So yeah, it's a lot.
Yes, I see a lot of people agreeing with you in the chats. And hey, Joel is here, Lending for Entrepreneurs. He is my regular Wednesday guest, and he's actually in Dallas, I believe, right now. He put together a event there at a whiskey lounge, I believe, and another person from the community, Brandon, who does build to rent in Texas, is going to be one of the speakers at the event. So Joel, hopefully that went well, even though you didn't invite me again to one of your events, but we're working on that. But Justin, what would you say? Do you want to add on to what Sabrina's saying about the real estate being illiquid?
Yeah, 100% illiquid. So as you're building it up, you're putting all your money in there, especially at the very beginning. You know, you get your first 25 or 30 or 50, whatever your initial chunk of money is, and at which point you're putting that all into the property. And so then, because it's not like you're going to get it out right away. You're going to get small drips back. So you got to have, yes, active income, keep the money coming in. but then you got to have credit cards that kind of get you by in the very beginning. And then as you start progressing and you start getting some equity, if you can then tap in lines of credit. So because it is illiquid and you don't want to have to force sell, because if you force sell, obviously you got the transaction costs, and then you've got probably a lower price because you got to get rid of it. So you got to get these lines of credit to give you access to liquidity. As you start building up, then you should be increasing your reserves. I at times I had like basically zero reserves because I was like, well, I got more Amazon RSUs coming in 2 months, and I'm making more money coming in. So I was like, every time I get about 20,000, I'd buy a property. And then because like at the time they were like 60,000 or 80,000, right? So if you're doing 20% down on 80,000, it's not a whole lot of money, right? So those same properties are double today. But yeah, it's definitely illiquid. And over time, you got to figure out a way to start building reserves. And now, these other projects that I was sucking up a lot of cash, I had to break into my reserve, like in
See,
case of
double
emergency.
you need it. Yes.
Yeah. So for me, what mine is I don't since 2020 I've been holding on to all this gold and silver, and then if you guys are following the silver market or metals in general, they just skyrocketed all of a sudden. I was like, okay, let me sell this to pay off all the revolving credit, so credit card, lines of credit, and all that. So I literally sold 170,000 of silver and paid
Nice.
all of it off. So now, like the monthly stress of payments and all that, it's gone away. And knock on wood, this project we done in April. So now I'll be able to start stacking cash back up and get back into acquisition mode.
I think what I hear from all of us is we all kind of had to get creative a little bit, maybe to find ways to offset expenses or figure out how to pay certain things, maybe in the beginning of the journey. So, do you think? I feel like a lot of people, when they're first getting started, they're trying to avoid every mistake possible. And yes, they have reserves, um, but they're so concerned with something happening or making a mistake. So, do you guys kind of feel that it's almost just part of the journey to kind of take some lumps, I guess, and you just kind of have to figure it out? I mean, it's almost like you think people are out there are trying to avoid too many mistakes. Maybe Sabrina, you can touch on that.
I I would love to say it's not part of the journey, and I would love to say hiring a coach will make you not take the lumps, but I took a lot of lumps. They can show you how to do it, but then when you hire a GC, you don't know what's coming with the GC. You don't know what the market's going to do in 3 to 6 months. Like it's they can tell you the basics, they can tell you their mistakes, so you potentially avoid those. Like I've had lots of run-ins with GCs, so now I know how to set up my payment schedule, set up deposits, things of that nature that are not really taught to you, but I learned with a lump. Um, but yeah, it's, I think people's fear initially, because as I coach people, there have been people like Justin was describing that it's like you can hand them like the creme de la creme property and they're still like, eh. And those people are just, there's some other fear. It could be fear of being a landlord. It could be fear of having more than their family. It could be some other fear tied in there that is more likely to make people not move than the actual like thing itself, if that makes sense. Um, at least that's what I've noticed. And I have my own family still won't invest in real estate, and I've been doing it for 6 years, and I've taught them all, and I've showed them all, and I've given them like, "You guys have money, and this is gonna make you this amount. This is how much it's gonna cost," and they won't move. So it's like you can't if somebody can, please share, but I have not figured out how to make somebody take the leap if they aren't ready mindset wise to be that type of person. Some people just that's the hang up is the I think more of your identity. Like I'm going to own a second house, I'm going to be a landlord. Like what's going to happen with that?
Yeah, very good points. Justin, you want to add on to that? But also, I just want to say our escape the rat race journey. I want to say congrats. It says he fits. Oh, they say it feels weird. I'm buying house three with some 401k money. I'm
Let's go.
paperwork pending liquid on the down payment, but it feels good to get unit three going in April. Very cool.
Yeah, in
So
terms
yeah, go ahead, Justin.
adding on to that, yes, it's you get them right there, and then they're like they'll keep coming up with a new thing to find a reason why not to do it. One time, I actually was like, "Man, this is such a good deal. Can you lend me the money because I'm gonna buy this deal?"
That's good. I've said if you don't buy it, I'll buy it. And
Yeah,
sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But that's a good one. Can I take your money so I can buy this thing because it's that good?
and that
Yeah,
one ended up working. But you have to like. So now it's like you got to like preemptively talk them about it. These things are going to come up. Here's some examples of some things. Here's some wins for what other people doing. You just got to show them more and more of like here's the real deal of what people are doing, and be like, this is literally just closed last week. Here's how much they put in. Here's what the plan is, and it's all projections until it's final.
Yep.
But you're showing them real numbers to try to get them comfortable with it.
I do. I do see a lot of people tuning in, new people tuning in. So please go subscribe. Also, go jump over to Justin's channel, who's also live streaming at the same time. So you can go subscribe there. And there's Sabrina's Facebook. We can follow her there and get more information from her. But I think part of that too is, and I think Justin's heard the terminology a little bit in our community, like the first 5 years of suck, and I think that's kind of part of it, right? Your first 5 years never starts until you actually get into the game, right? So you're just prolonging the 5 years until you actually start, right? So I think that's what something people do have to take into consideration, that sometimes it's just getting your jumping in and learning, from your first few deals. And I think Kyle makes a great point. So Kyle says he encourages people to collaborate with more members in the community, understand their problems they went through, and how they've overcome it. Yep, very true. Friend Zone Millionaire says people are so weird about money. They only want to go to a job to earn it. They only want to use it to buy things that are depreciating assets.
I don't know if
Uh,
that's weird. Like, that's the norm. What we do is weird. You can talk to 100 people and they're like, you do what? Where do you do it? You do it out of state, like you've never been there. Like that's more of the weird. But then to us, like we know the benefit, so then it's not, we're like, nah, how do you do your 9 to 5 and you don't see what's happening? Like you're just ding 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 in your 9 to 5. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but build the assets while you're ding ding, right? Get out.
Doing what? What is this thing? What does that sound
Like
again?
the hamster wheel.
Yeah, I
Ding,
know.
ding, ding, ding. That's yes. When things are loading, that's what I think. That's the noise that
Your
happens.
technical term for it.
Yes. Yep.
I think this was a comment on what you folks are talking about, being illiquid, maybe a little bit. So they comment, so you can grow considerable equity very quickly by leveraging other people's money.
There
So
is.
yeah, so you both of you can probably touch on that, right, as far as using other people's money to kind of grow your wealth. I mean, like you said, I think Sabrina, the holding cost. So it sounds like you're not doing everything with just your own funds also, right? I know Justin does a lot of different things too. So can you guys touch on that as far as leveraging other people's money?
I have not done it. I had one project that I did get private money on, and that was my biggest L. My biggest lump was that project. I had a $70,000 private money loan, and I ended up losing 110,000 on that house. It was my friend's money, so I was like, I need to pay her back. So, like Justin was saying, a reserve tank of the reserve tank. I took whatever money came out of the transaction plus the reserves from the reserve tank. So like my actual like this is all the money I got money. And I paid her back. And it was honestly the biggest stress of my life. I understand and I see when you have money partners, then you divvy up the liability, the responsibility. You kind of have somebody as a support behind you. But when it comes down to like lump taking time, and for me personally, I had somebody else's money, I was the most stressed I've ever been in my whole life, because I'm like, I don't care if I take the L, like, because this is my fault, but I need to get her back her money. Like 70 grand is a lot for somebody who's not due. For a normal person, that's a lot of money. So, yes, there is a benefit to having other people's money, but then the stress that comes with it if something goes wrong. If nothing goes wrong and you get their money back, or even if you get it back late, great. But when shit hits the fan, that's when I personally feel like you don't want, at least me, I'm not taking people down with me. Like, so I don't want other people's money at that point. But when I was flipping a lot, if I had other people's money, maybe I would do 2 or 3 projects at a time, because what I would do is flip one, and if I got more leads, I would wholesale the other ones and not flip them, because all my money was tied up in said flip. So yes, you can leverage, but do it carefully, because you're messing with other people's lives also, you know?
All right, before we get to some of Flavio's questions for Justin, Justin, can you touch on leveraging other people's money?
Yeah, you definitely can do that. I mean, the most common one, I believe, is syndications, because effectively they're pooling a bunch of money and then buying a bigger asset, which is, the concept of, hey, this is passive income. We'll take care of all your money and we'll make the money for you, which 2018 to 22, everybody was crushing. The inverse is true. People are getting wiped out right now. Unfortunately, I have multiple friends that have lost 6 figures in these syndications, and it's a shame to see, because it's like, because you could take 5 years to build all that money up and it can be gone super fast. So there is a huge amount of responsibility. I've done quite a bit of private money lending lately. I'd say the last like 3 years, and like some have done great and some not so great. So like on the great ones, where like in Milwaukee, I did almost a full burr. I think I borrowed, I want to say around 110,000, something like that. And I bought a property, and it was all the rehab money. And then I finished the project, and this was in 2022. I'm like, oh, rates should come down, so I'm going to hold off a little bit. So I just kept the hard money, paying the interest. But then it's actually going up more. And so I ended up refinancing out of that. And so instead of having like 20% down, I want to say I ended up roughly 8% to do the deal. So now it may not sound amazing, but think about if you did that over time. So for, let's see, I could buy almost like 2.5 times more with the same amount of money by doing 8% down versus 20. So that was a good one. And that's a single family, and that one's been like set it and forget it. Honestly, I don't even know what the rent is. I don't even know who the tenant is. It's just been steady Eddie for a couple of years on that one. But then I've had some more like where I did a project in Seattle, and it is a lot of stress, because like these people that are lending them, they had to have enough trust to lend you the money, and now you have to deliver on that trust. So I actually had to sell, or when I sold one of the properties, I had to bring money to sell. This is like the worst thing in the world, right? So you're thinking, hey, I bought this project, did all this time into it, all this money into it, and I'm going to get money at the end. Well, no, I had to bring cash to the table. I can't even remember. It was like 40,000 or something.
Ugh.
So when you're bringing money to sell a property, that's the tough one. But I still have paid every dollar of interest and principal back to every lender, and that's why they keep lending with me. So when I sell this property coming up at the end of the month, so I'll have 2 different people. It's about 215,000. So I got to go find something new to redeploy that, whether they're a debt partner or an equity partner, to keep them making money. So if I keep doing these deals and they make money, I make money, life is great. But it's definitely something more, it I think about it a lot because like it's not like some person that you've never met before. Like you see them, right? So like you can't get out of these deals, you know.
Chris Wissing says we all learn from the issues or mistakes. Driving, cooking, investing, everything. We get the hits and learn how to do it. People can teach, but it takes seat time. Each unit I rehab teaches me. So, like I said, go check out Chris's YouTube channel. Him and his son are working on projects together, and one of his sons is one of the individuals that came to the ORAD event to take advantage of the kind of teenager special. So Zuber is very much focusing on trying to get the teenagers' minds thinking a little bit differently. Flavio is asking, says, Justin, you should move. Oh, maybe Sabrina knows this area also because she was in Washington, but says, Justin, you should move all your portfolio to the Yakima area.
When anybody tells me about Yakima, I just hear all I think of is Justin's horror stories, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll try like Moses Lake. You know, Moses Lake is cheap also, and I haven't heard too many horror stories over there. But Yakima, like,
that's where Cody is, right? Moses Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter to the city. There's good parts, there's okay parts, and there's bad parts. So you can find bad stuff everywhere. So
Yes.
yeah, I had an issue with my Yakima one, which is that was a creative deal where I got it off of Craigslist, and come to find out the seller didn't tell me that he had a private money, or not a private money, but a seller finance deal. So for me to buy it, the title company told the original owner who seller financed to the guy selling to me. So then I had to go past my seller and talk to the original owner and convince him on to do the seller financing. And so I was like, oh, perfect. I was able to save the deal. But that one, there was a tenant that was in jail when I did the walkthrough. And then when that guy got out of jail and got back into the unit, that's when all the issues happened. So issues with, you know, stealing stuff, breaking into stuff, you know, the contractor I was using was getting stressed out, and then, this is, guns are involved, neighbors involved. This is kind of nightmare solution, but it's all done. It's been steady Eddie. Took me about a year, maybe a year and a half to get all that squared away. But man, that was stressful. But I do want more in Yakima because I don't think there's as much competition over in Yakima. I would buy in different areas. I was actually just talking to another guy off of Craigslist about some stuff in Yakima. So I might go there. I do have one in Moses Lake, but that's like in a nice area. It's another one where I don't set it and forget it. Same tenants for a couple years, but it's long distance, but it's not out of state. And I go to Yakima. My brother's over there and his family, so we try to go over there every month or so. So every time I'm in town, I always drive by my sixplex over there, take a little video and picture of it, see how it's doing.
Yeah, when I heard the stories of sixplex, it was like, how's it going? And you're like, it's good. I have one tenant. I'm not filling the rest of the units. And I'm like, why? And you're like, oh, because that tenant keeps breaking stuff and like he's scaring away my GC. And like, I'm just going to let him do his thing until I figure out how to get him out of there. And then I think you might have been talking like cash for keys or like something. Keys. Yeah. And then I was just like, ugh.
Oh, yeah. We had the cops coming over, and
yes.
you get when the cops are calling you because it's just no number. It's just a blank screen calling you. And I'm like, oh no, I already know what's coming up. So every time they call, and I'll be like, yes, get them out of there, trespass them. And it was funny. They're like, well, how long do you want to trespass? I'm like, forever. Like, why would you even ask me? Like forever, like get rid of them, like period. So my biggest ally was actually the neighbor because they wanted him out too. And so when he finally left, that was kind of the nucleus. He was probably the drug dealer. And so all the other riffraff were coming around. So finally, when he was gone, everything stabilized, was able to fill it up. So now everything's good.
Well, I do see Ike asking a question before he has to leave. That's why. But so Ike is asking, what kind of rates are you giving out, Justin?
So on the private money, it's depending on the project and the risk level. If it's shorter, less risk, typically 10%, and then the standard's usually 12%. So it's for example, right now I'm borrowing 215,000, so that's 2150 a month just in interest that's going out. One of them I pay monthly, the other one I pay at the end. So, and you can structure it whatever works. Some people don't like getting the money monthly because then they got to track it. Some just want to so they can see the results. Like if I gave you 10,000, I got 20,000 at the end, I doubled my money. That's easier for some people. So you can structure it however it works best. Sometimes the lump sum works best. But if you're paying the interest off monthly, you know, like I already know exactly what the number is because like it's just whatever the original number was. You know, if you borrow money, and some of my projects have been going long, that number can start stacking up pretty big. And so if you don't pay at monthly and you pay at the end, it can be a large number.
Joel was asking, do we have a T-shirt on the first 5 years of Suck? Yeah, that's a good idea for merchandising. We
Mhm.
should make that. I mean, so let's see. There was oh, this is a great question here by Compa8806 says, what precautions are you folks utilizing to protect your money, especially in times like these? Sabrina, is there anything that you're doing right now?
I'm in a rebuild season, so I'm just trying to rebuild the money. I would say as far as like deploying money, like if you were to do a flip or buy a rental, just make sure it's a like you have a big cushion on your profit margin. You're not buying skinny deals like the season of buying something and in 3 months it's appreciating. So you're going to save your ass by that. Like not, not going to happen now. So you just need to be very, very careful with your numbers. Like don't buy anything skinny, period. Because that's the easiest way to lose your money in somebody else's.
Yeah, on my side in terms of money management. So, from what I heard from other investors in like 2008, if you let's just say you're thinking, hey, I don't have very much money. If something happens, I got this line of credit. What I've heard is that like you'll wake up in the morning and the line of credit has been closed or
Yeah.
your balance went to zero. So what you let's just say you thought you had 100,000 line of credit. Well, that now is gone, right? So for example, right now I have one untapped line of credit for 100,000 at US Bank. So if I had to, I could pull that. And then for me, like I have a solo 401k, so I have a couple 100,000 of cash in there. Like that's like in case of emergency. But what I'm doing now is like I have these cash value life insurance policies. So I
Mhm.
have money sitting in there. And what I'm trying to get better at is now, and this is on the agent side, is as I get checks in from the agent business, I take a portion of that and set it into the life insurance policy. And so the goal there is just to keep stacking it, set and forget that reserve money, you know, because like I just got out of the hole. So I'm like, well, I don't want to go back into the hole. So it's like,
The hole is terrible.
I
Nobody
know,
from the
yeah,
hole.
I know. It felt like it's literally quicksand because like
Oh, it's
it
terrible.
you're moving, but you're not going anywhere. It's like you're on a treadmill, right? So you could really hustle and make zero progress, or potentially even go backwards. So, but that's what I'm doing with money. Is like I have lines of credit. I have solo 401k money liquid if I had to. I got money in a life insurance policy. So that's my structure.
The line of credit thing is a big, not a big deal, but it can go away that quickly. For example, I have a line of credit too for emergencies, and then I have this one credit card that used to have a 20K limit, and because I maxed it and I've been paying it off, now we're at like 10, 11K in between there. But every time I pay a chunk, the credit card company says now your max limit is 19,000, 18,000, 17,000. So it has, even though I'm paying this thing off, I am not helping myself in liquidity because every month they're like, yeah, they're taking it down as I pay it down. So in those scenarios, you're just like, you know, uh, not helpful. But yes, I think you having your securities in multiple avenues and not just like one line of credit, that's great advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even more so, like Kyle Dorn is saying, stacking cash is first priority before you buy, not just enough for down payment,
Yeah.
down, closing, holding 2.5 to 3x, whatever you think the repairs are going to cost. So, absolutely. I think in these the times that we are right now, access to money is important, but also just like you said, stacking cash itself, if possible, is going to be allow you to sleep well at night, as they would say, sleep well at night, right? But also, someone does say great analogy, Justin. I believe they're talking about your quicksand. I always cut it. So I've never been in quicksand, so I can't reference to that. But I always relate it. So from the fire department side, we get a lot of water rescues, and a lot of times, it's the same thing, right? A lot of people are in the ocean or in the water, and let's say, they instead of there's these cliffs that people jump off, and a lot of times they're panicking, and they're trying to always get back to shore quickly, so they're swimming to the rocks, and that's when a lot of the problems happen. Either they're getting tired, or they're getting pushed into the rocks, or they're hitting the rock instead of swimming further out, actually, where the water is calm, and just kind of catching their breath and relaxing. And that's kind of how I kind of relate it to, is where sometimes you kind of maybe are so caught up in everything, and now you're trying to cause a lot of motion and do all these things, and then you see the coast, or right there, so you're trying to
Mhm.
put all this effort into getting there, but actually it's easier to kind of just swim out to calmer waters, and kind of take a break and let things settle. So, like I said, I can't relate to quicksand, but that's how I would relate it to sometimes people being caught up in some struggles. Ryan Ruff says, we are not getting any younger. Having assets can be life changing as we get older. For you and others you want to help. Having assets can be like as we get older for you. And exactly. Um, let's see. Was there anything?
Yeah, by all means, this is not a anti-real estate podcast. This is a do it, but know what you're getting into, but still do it.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So to that point, right? Like we kind of we're focusing on the kind of the social media side of how maybe some people are making it seem like a lot easier than it is. Now,
Yeah.
how do people figure out who to maybe take advice from or trust, I guess, if they're seeing all these people talking on social media? So, Sabrina, what would you use as maybe like a guide for people to help them decide on who they should listen to, maybe?
I honestly don't know. My main mentor has been Thatch with Springboard, and I found him and picked him because of a podcast he was on Bigger Pockets. So I heard his story, I heard his struggles, I heard where he came from, and then I know what he's has now. And he's also been in the game for like 30 years at this point. So that's what made me pick him, is I knew how he got there and what he did. I've been in other little mentorships here or there and just dabbled or signed up for a class that I seen via an ad. And you can tell right when you get into said thing that they're just collecting your $100, $200 and they're like, go on, do your own thing. Or they're selling this like marketing type gimmick, and they're going to make ad revenue on you spending in their marketing bracket, which I just did one a couple months ago. And I was like, is this, for real? So I hope and pray that people don't spend like thousands of dollars, because a lot of these real estate coaches are now like $8,000 to $10,000 just to get in. um, I hope they don't get swindled that way. So I would try to get just as much personal, I think, view time of said coach or mentor, and see if you actually like them and you believe in their methodology, and then join. Don't just believe the ads or things of that nature, because people pump money into ads and there's psychology behind it. So that's how I picked.
So, Justin, for you, I know you're a big part in Thatch's community also. Is that kind of the same reasons why, you jumped on board Thatch's program?
I jumped. I got into Springboard to Weld about halfway through, so like I probably had 30-ish properties already. Already been going to, yeah, a lot of meetups locally and started going to conferences nationally. So I was learning. I was just thinking as Sabrina was talking, I was really learning a lot at the time, mainly podcasts and then YouTube through YouTube University, kind of, nationwide, right? But then as I go to these conferences, I get to meet some of these people in person. And then before I'd sign up for anything, obviously I'd talk to them there. Then I'd get referrals or references for people who are already in the course. So I did one that was like a wholesaling course. I think it was like $25,000. The guy was relatively local and somebody that was in this course I knew. And so I ended up signing for that. But that's an example, like that was 25,000, I think. Some of it was for them. I think it was like 20 for the training, and then 5K went into marketing. So like postcards and mailers and stuff. So, but that took me 9 months to get my first deal. So just for a frame of reference, it's not overnight. Like some people get lucky and they get it like right away, right? It's just a matter of doing the reps. But it took me 9 months to get my first deal after that. So a lot of what I would recommend people do is through all this stuff online is learn from everybody online, get the base level of knowledge, find people locally in your area, and then see what they're actually doing. Because that really is what matters. Because then you can leverage the contractors, the agents, the insurance, and whatever locally when you're talking to those people. So that's what I would recommend. Learn nationally and then experience and engage locally.
Hey, I see Nick lead Prey Huddle. So that's my Bitcoin guy. But so like I said, he's at March Madness. So we live stream on Saturday. So go check out his YouTube channel. He's doing a lot of daily content on Bitcoin, and he's also doing a lot of book reviews now. So he did One Rent at a Time book review. He did Dion's The Lazy Investor book review. So go check him out there. Kyle Dorn says Lumberjack for him. And like you said, Justin just joined Lumberjacks boot camp, so that should be interesting to see what his takeaways are.
Yeah, so that's an example right there. I just joined it, and so you sign up for his course, and then separately there's a boot camp. I want to say it's like $2,000 or something like that. And like I'm friends with Lumberjack for a couple years, and I still signed up. I think there's value in it. I know other people that have been in it that are investors that are in the ORAT, and they have and they're not like beginners, right? So they have multiple properties. And so my whole thing was like, if I can get a little bit more support, then take it back in-house. I spend like 6,000-7,000 in property management per month, right? So like the payback is like super fast. Now, not all that's in Washington. If I just do Washington, I'm sure it's, maybe 2 months payback max. But to me, it makes sense. I still went and vetted the person. I've known him for years, right? So I just wanted to make sure for me specifically, at least, is there enough content in there that would be not 101 level, like 201, 301 level? And there's a lot of actual interaction. So it's not, yes, there is the coursework, but then you get in like a couple hours a week live with the Lumberjack landlord, similar with Thatch in there, where you're a couple times a week, you're in there talking to them. Now, there could be hundreds of people, obviously, in Thatches, but you're still getting live interaction with them, and then local meetups as well.
You better not show up late to Lumberjack and tell him you're jumping off your Peloton and show up late to his.
I know. For those that didn't know, like I was at 10 minutes before the call. I woke up late and I was like, I gotta get my workout in, otherwise I won't do it. So literally at 7:50, I'm like hopping in the shower, trying to log in, and then the YouTube link's not working. So yeah, and then I was like sweating here before the camera. So
well, you know what?
Now I'm ready.
Since we brought that up, there was a question actually in the WhatsApp chat. It says, hold on, where did it go? So Justin is a Peloton user. You got to talk about it, and if you think it is worth the live training today.
So I actually don't even do that. So and actually the Peloton is like right there, right behind me, if you can see it. But so originally we had obviously the Peloton account, like it was like probably the number one fitness equipment during COVID, right? And I used to do like, well, a lot of friends were on there and we'd ride together, and then do the live. And then what I actually do now is like we unsubscribed. So literally this originally I want to say it was like 2000. It's literally just a bike, and I just do the black screen with that counts the calories and stuff on there. Because what I've been doing lately is I do Babbel. I'm trying to learn Spanish, so I send it up to 100% resistance, and I just slow pedal, and I'm practicing my Spanish so I get a 2-for-1.
Oh, you're making Flavio super happy. So yesterday's live stream with Emily and MJ was on.
Yeah,
They were speaking Spanish yesterday, so that was a lot of fun. So
I heard
uh,
that. I was, I didn't know that MJ was. I think he's from Puerto Rico, and then Emily, I didn't know that she knew Spanish too.
yeah, so Emily, like we said, Emily's gonna be the day one speaker at One Run Total Times event next year in Vegas. MJ, I don't know if he is. Is that what he said? I was he's I thought he learned it because he traveled there. So he likes
Oh,
to learn wherever he travels, he tries to learn the language ahead of time. So that's why he took up Spanish. But yeah, so MJ, I think he caught a lot of people by surprise at the event this past year. He asked his question in Spanish
nice.
to Andrea, who's from Venezuela. But Chris Webb is here. Chris Webb, who just moved from Virginia to Idaho, says I offered to share how real estate could help young employees with my old office a few years back. I had 3 at the time. I jumped to 10, sold some last year, and the young kids thought it was unreachable. Yep, very true. Ike Hobbs, who is also a firefighter, says, I've noticed that at my work, people say you're dumb at the start and pursuing a waste of money. Then you have success and they say they don't have your kind of luck. Ooh, that would drive Zuber nuts. Let's stay right there real quick. Sabrina, has anyone told you that you've been lucky in this
Yeah.
journey? Oh,
Oh yeah. Like, oh, you have I got married really young. So when I started my real estate journey, I was already married and people are like, "Oh, your husband this," or "Oh, you're so lucky you started that." And I'm like, "This is not my husband isn't even on board." Like, and now I'm going through a divorce. Like, what you mean? Where's the luck at? Like, I don't know. It's just you just got to focus and move forward, but there's no luck in it. And then like when I first started, my family was like, "What is wrong with you? You have a really good 9 to 5." I was a medical coder. Why are you even attempting to get in real estate? Why do you have your real estate license? Why are you joining this mentorship? Like, that guy is feeding you lies. Like, you are losing your mind. Like, oh my, the amount of things I have heard in the last 6 to 7 years have been phenomenal. And my entrepreneurship, I guess, road wasn't always real estate. Like, I started with Amazon FBA. I did eBay arbitrage. I would sew baby burp cloths for Etsy. I made wreaths. Like, I was a Twitch streamer. Like, I have done so many things before I got to real estate, all with my 9 to 5. And that entire time was all of those, like, what are you doing with yourself? And that's why I talk about how it's so important to have a network of people that are on the same road as you, because sometimes real life, like even to this day, real life is not full of supportive people. You have to have them somewhere. But I've heard all the things.
Well, they think they're helping you, right? So like,
Yes.
my mom is the same way. She's always like, "You sure you should be doing this? Like, why are you doing this? That one guy, that Asian guy, is he just taking your money?" And
Yes.
I'm like, "No, it's fine. It's
why
fine."
she gotta say that Asian guy? What's
Yeah.
up with that?
So I'm like, no, I mean, like, this guy donates like literally $1 million a year sometimes, right? So,
He has so much
he-
money. He has no business talking to us or teaching us
right.
if he didn't want to. Like, please. I heard that one also.
Yeah, and I think the biggest one was, there's the family aspect, then there's your friends, and the friends are
Yep.
like, "Oh, you're just a slumlord, You're
Yep.
you're the gonna get be just like everybody else, You're a rich guy gonna take the money." And I'm like, dude, if you only knew the other side, like I provide affordable housing for the masses. That's what I always tell them. And because if you do affordable housing that's a good quality at a good price, you'll be filled. But you have to have a burning desire, a why to get you through all this. Because every day at the beginning, almost everybody questions you, and then even yourself at times. So you've got
Yeah.
to stay the course. And usually when I'm talking with people who are new, it's like I tell them that it's kind of like a rocket ship taking off. The amount of energy you've got to have that first year, it's like trying to get out of the atmosphere, right? It's so much energy, and then once you're out, it's like not as much energy because you already got the momentum behind you and you don't have the gravity. At times, gravity is your friends trying to pull you back to what they are. So when you
Mhm.
get these new nucleus of people, they're pulling you towards what you want to do. That's when I ultimately started getting better faster. Is these We used to have a lot of local meetups that were free, and so I'd go to a lot of them, and I would just talk to different people, and a lot of people are just kind of there learning, but then there's a few people at these where you'd be like moving and shaking. Those are the people I would start hanging out with more. And then I'd get their phone number. We'd talk to each other. We'd try to meet up, and uh, progressively over time, that's what gives you more and more confidence to keep going.
I see Chris Webb asking. So you both kind of touched on this. Why you guys got involved with Thatch, but maybe on the W-2 employees side. So like Justin, I know you when you were with Amazon, right? You did start something there, correct?
Yeah, when I was at Amazon, um, I went to met a guy in Vegas, or no, LA. His name's Will Bernard, and he was telling me, hey, you're an idiot for not. You're around all these rich people with money. If you're not talking about real estate, you're an idiot, right? So I was like, okay. That was in December 2019. The next week, I created a group at Amazon, and at the beginning, I was like, well, it needs to be catchy. So I called it Dream, Discussing Real Estate at Amazon Meeting, DREAA.
That's pretty
So,
good.
yeah. And then year one, it went from like, two people, I think, at the very first one. And then we grew it to about 100. And then there's multiple of these like affinity groups, is what they called them. And then I had a guy join the Dream, Discussing Real Estate at Amazon, from the outdoor uh, at Amazon group. So then he came in. I was like, dude, how'd you get to so many people? He's like, oh, I'll do it. I'll show you how to do it. I'm like, okay. We did exactly what they did on the other one. Went from 100 to 1,000 people. We rebranded it to Real Estate at Amazon. And by the time I left Amazon, I think it was 1,500 people. There's it's around 3,500 people that are in this Real Estate at Amazon. I usually go back and I speak maybe once, sometimes twice a year now. So I'll probably be back. Last time I was there was in October. But every time I'm in there, I'm telling them about it. It's more important. Every time I go, I'm like, it's more important now than ever that you need to be building up a side hustle. So like 2 years, like the first time I went back post, it was the first time they laid off 16,000. Then the second time, and then when I go back now, I should schedule one soon. But the world of AI, the amount of people that are going to be either having to reshift into a different role or downsize roles or find a new role in a different company, it's massive. So it's even more important today to get as many assets as you can in the next 3 to 5 years before you're obsolete. This is kind of a tangent, but I finally went in last night because I went to Berkeley and I had my Berkeley friends were in a Signal chat, and they're all in on this Claude Code. So I finally spent 2 hours last night, and what I created in 2 hours is absolutely mind blowing. It's not amazing by any stretch, but I was able to create I track all my vacation in Google Sheets. I loaded it in there and I said, create me a vacation app. and I want to show all my vacations, dot pins on the map, interactive, what's past, what's in the future, how many days traveled by month, who I'm traveling. Is it a cruise? Is it not a cruise? Of the cruises, which lines are you traveling with by cruise number and dates? And it in 2 hours, I was able to create something. I'm like, this is absolutely changing the world. It's mind blowing. Like I'm trying to figure out. Trying to hire a second VA just so I can spend a couple hours a day only on AI. Because like the if in my mind is like we have less than 5 years, maybe less than 3, to maximize the cash that we have to get enough assets to be able to control your own destiny. Because I think what's going to happen for a large chunk of the population is they're going to be on some sort of subsidy, and they're just going to have to live on whatever the government gives them. So if you can get as many assets right now, then you're going to be able to control your own destiny. So it's, to me, the biggest thing in the world today is you have to build some sort of side hustle to have a shot at controlling your time and your life in the future.
Hyder, where did it go? He just said, next time you better have a better excuse. I'll just put it as not Peloton. He said golf would be a better excuse, and I know who he's referring to. I think you do also, Justin. Yeah, so we've been going for a little over an hour. I don't know how much time you folks have. So maybe we'll quickly ask a few. I saw a few good ones here real quick before we wrap things up. There was one for Justin. Oh, Kenny the Connects. I met Justin at a super small meetup. Then Justin was at my first meetup. Oh, interesting. And
Yeah,
then
Kenny's got he's in the sub 2 tribe, which is probably bigger than Thatch's, I would imagine. Pace Morby, man, he's such a hustler. He's built that. I don't even know how many people are in there.
There's a lot. I just came back from his the Squat Up Summit, and he is heavy in the AI, and exactly what you're saying about building it in the next 3 years. They're saying to build it in the next 18 months. Like, you need to move whatever goal you have 3 years from now, you need to push it for 18 months because the world is getting weird and AI is going to take a lot of people out. And the other benefit is AI is so new and fresh. Like, not a lot of people are using it yet. So if you figure it out first, then that's where everybody monopolizes, right? Like you got in first. So that was a huge thing. But that conference was 3,000 people. It was not like a it was a lot. It was a lot in the whole production. And he's got owners club, and he's got lots of people with money in there also. So he's doing a lot of stuff. I went with Kenny and his wife. Yes.
Right. Sabrina, I also want to touch on real quick then before we wrap things up. Like I said, you went to Washington, right? You're in Arizona now. Like, I think you kind of touched on the podcast with Gus, but like, why did you relocate and moving around to different markets, I guess?
I'm originally from California, and I moved to Arizona in 2018. So I don't really have any ties or anchors here. Like, it wasn't, other than it being cheap here. That's why I came initially. And then I joined Thatch's group, and because there was literally 3 people in the Arizona chapter when I joined, and I just wanted to be around more people making moves that I was doing. And the majority of them at that time were in Washington. There was probably like 100, maybe 150. I knew that if I was in Washington, I would learn directly from Thatch. Like, if I was in his area, I could be closer to him. I could be closer to all these people that were making bigger moves. And that's why I moved. And I moved, I think, December 2021, and I joined Thatch October 2020. So like a year later, I was out. And it was very helpful. Like, he comes to his meetups once a month. You're on the calls weekly. He helps all his like Seattle students if they need architects and things of that nature. Like, it's the easiest way to plug and play. I focused in Tacoma, so I had to like go and find a bunch of stuff in Tacoma because Tacoma is a completely different animal than Seattle. But that's why. And then I came back to Arizona because of family reasons. I would love to be a snowbird at some point where I just go back and forth and I'm in between both because I really miss the ocean. I miss the Tacoma water. Because you don't get that here in Arizona. You get that like chemically green blue lake because some man made it, you know? So like I would love to go back and forth. I just, like I said, took a big huge L and I need to restack before I can do that. But that's why I went initially. And I figured I had done, it took me also 9 months to get my first project in here in Arizona. And I was like, if I can do it here, I can do it there. That was just kind of my mentality. I'll have more support. I'll move faster if I'm around people who are moving faster than me.
Very cool. Last one. So, Justin, Kenny Wong is asking, does the Dream Group still exist at Amazon?
Yes. Yeah, it's called Real Estate at Amazon. And the last time I checked, I want to say it's like 3,500 people.
Dang.
Yeah. So when I knew I was going to leave Amazon, so then I created a Real Estate at Amazon committee. And so by the time I left, I think there's probably 10 people. So the goal was to make it last longer than me. And, you know, obviously at the time I was leaving, I was building up my network, got my license at the same time. So that helped me. A lot of my clients have come out of that by design. So I was planning 3 years in advance that when I go to leave, that I'd have a network of people, whether for private money lending, joint venture projects with, become clients, or even just referring. Because like I used to refer people out all the time, and before I was an agent, I didn't even know you could make money doing that. So like I literally could have made that, you know, 20 plus thousand and easy a year with in terms of referrals if I would have just had my license when I was you know, doing all those meetups.
I do see Millennial Mike tuning in. He says, Justin is an absolute stud. Very knowledgeable. Big fan. Yep. I believe Hyder's still in Gary and they're working on their fiveplex, I believe, together
Nice.
still yet. So
I was just
Hyder,
thinking about Millennial Mike. I had I just washed the t-shirt he gave me. I used it to work out the other day.
I used it to be late on my Peloton. That's the shirt I was wearing.
There's the king of Gary, I think, on it.
the king of Gary. Yes. Hopefully not the new home for the Chicago or the Chicago Bears soon. Hopefully the Bears figured out how to stay in Chicago. But yeah, this was a fun one. I'm glad we got to finally do this. Like I said, we had to cancel last Saturday because of the storms and the power outages. But Sabrina, like you said, maybe this wasn't to kind of discourage people from getting into real estate. But let's end it up with a question for both of you then. Would you still recommend real estate to someone starting today?
1050%. That's all I talk about. That's all I want to do is to teach people. I want them to know because the dink 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 is never going to end until they do something new. And real estate, quite frankly, I feel like is the easiest one to get into. I've done a bajillion of other ones and none of those worked. Real estate works. You just have to plan, prep, and put yourself around people that are doing it. But 1000% do it. The end.
Yeah.
And I believe you said, is Facebook the best place to connect with you, or
Facebook or Instagram. I do
Okay.
my own DMs. So if you have questions and need advice or whatever, Instagram would probably be easiest. And that's Maples Invests on Instagram.
Okay. Everyone follow her at Facebook or Instagram if you want to connect with her, reach out to her there. Justin, would you still recommend real estate to someone starting today? And then after this, we'll wrap it up with Alex does have a question he says for Justin, would you get licensed just for referrals?
It's you got to be so I wouldn't get it just for referrals unless you're proactively going to try it, because like there's holding costs, right? So you're going to have, depends on which brokerage you're at, you know, because then even the money you get in, you've got to split some of that with the house. So you need to make probably, you'd have to have one referral, like in Washington, if you did one referral, and say the commission's 25 or 20,000, you get 25%, that'd be 5K. That's the minimum. You'd have to do at least one of those a year to make it worth your while. Otherwise, there's too much regulation and hours to put into it, and the holding costs of a couple thousand a year. So if you're going to do one or more a year and make 5K or more net, yes. Now shifting to the question on, do you recommend real estate? 100%. Like everybody who I talk to, it's all about real estate, because that all I do is real estate nowadays. And I love nothing more than talking to people who I've met in the past, and they tell me about, hey, since we talked, I bought this property, or I sold that property, bought this other property. And I just literally had a call with a guy this week. He's 23 years old, and he's doing everything right. He's filling up his 401k at work to get the match, and he's saving a couple thousand a month. And he's like, should I be and he just got his license. And so I'm like, perfect. You got your license. So the best way for you to get clients, because he's young, right? Your clients are going to be people like you. So all young people. So now I'm like, go find a house hack, learn about how to do it yourself. He's got the money and in order to do it. And I was like, go talk to lenders, get some, insurance providers, and figure out who you want to work with. Start analyzing every day. Get that property. Then that's your story. That's your narrative. That's how you can draw people in. That's how like Sabrina gets clients. That's how I get clients. Is I don't sell them on what it could be. I sell them, here's what I did. Yep. And this is the real, and you can pull up the address, whatever, open book. And so that's why like you got to work with, if you're going to be an investor, you should not be working with a real estate agent. You need to be working with an investor agent that actually is doing what you want to do. So whether that's in state or out of state, short-term, whatever the thing is, like you have to work with that person, because the success factor, if you work with an investor agent, they're going to help you get there faster because they've already got the experience.
Absolutely. I think we'll all agree it's not easy, but it's worth it. Definitely being around the right people does make it a little bit easier though. And I think we'll agree though, the first 5 years probably do suck, but get it started as soon as possible, right? Your first 5 years. And so it goes a lot quicker. And we'll just wrap it up with one last thing then. Justin, would you recommend Peloton for everyone?
Sorry.
In today's world, it makes no sense, because it's the subscription. Because I want to say it's like $46 a month or something, right? So that's $600 a year, right? So you pay for, I think it was $2,000 plus the $600. No, like it doesn't make any sense to me. If it, for some people where they need that kind of connection, okay, maybe, but money should not be the stopper, right? So you can go. I mean, what I do nowadays, I have my iPad here. I literally do 30-minute workouts for free. I just have dumbbell. You can do dumbbells and exercise, and it's amazing, right? So I wouldn't get the Peloton today knowing what I know. At the time, like in the world of like, you're not supposed to go out of your house. Okay, fine. We got the Peloton. But I wouldn't get rid of it now that I have it, especially now that I do my Spanish at the same time. So it's a 2-for-1.
All right, Justin, Sabrina, thanks for joining me today. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, I'll be back Monday with my regular guest, Cody Davis, and we're going to be talking a little bit about his recent video about why he's going to self-manage a few things. But everyone, have a good weekend, and I'll see you folks on Monday. Thanks.
See ya. Bye.